Waiting just to go live. Are we live? Yes. Okay. Lovely. So welcome to the reconvened meeting of the Company Governance Committee. It was meant to be a couple of weeks ago, but we brought forward to today due to attendance issues. And I believe snow. I think there was a lot of snow today. Not that stopped you coming in.
No.
That was noted. I was actually also in. We just ended up with an inchorusy situation, sadly, with the hardcore ones.
How did you get in?
How did I get in? Well, I had to come in because I was flying out from Birmingham Airport that evening.
Okay.
So I had to come into town regardless. I got a taxi in the end.
Yeah. Because I didn't want to skid down that hill and then cause more damage to my car. So
I nearly crashed my car the night before, which was terrifying. Brakes failed on some snow, skidding to a roundabout. So yeah, it was not fantastic. Anyway, right, we're in a meeting. So advising that, so obviously it's a reconvened meeting, advising that the meeting will be webcast and live and subsequent broadcast via the YouTube channel the Council has, and members of the press and public may record and take photos, etc. Apologies, Keith Martin has to leave early, just noted. Don't think we've got any other apologies. Declarations of interest from anybody?
Just that I'm on the agenda under the company's update.
Noted. Anything else? No, I'm on the board of Birmingham Airport, which may or may not come up during the NEC group, just because it shares a lot of services and space. I don't know whether that will turn into an interest or not. Possibly not, but I thought I'd just flag that. Okay, we've got public notes of the last meeting, which was back in November, interestingly, and then formal one in January. Anyone got anything on those? Of accuracy? No. Then we'll take those as accurate. Anyone got any matters arising from those? No. Brilliant. Okay, we come then on to company update. Who's talking about company update? Alison.
Hello, afternoon. So it's quite a short report this time. So as you know, we monitor all the movements through Companies House from our group of companies, and as it hadn't been too long since our previous meeting, there's only been one company change that's been notified through Companies House, and that is the Birmingham Citizens Advice Bureau Service Limited, and that's director's change for it's Councillor Gareth Moore. Now, Companies House does not note the nature of the change. However, I have contacted Councillor Moore because I suspected I knew what it was, and he is happy for me to just confirm in this public meeting that it was a change of address. So nothing more sinister than that. It was a simple notification. But of course, addresses are not printed on Companies House. So there have been no accounts submitted since last we met. So I've not seen no audit reports to check. On the private agenda, of course, there is an update on our large companies as usual, and also notification on the private agenda of a company that we are closing down. I think that's it for the public section of this report.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Raymond?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have any questions.
I don't have a middle name, so I'm always...
It's after my granddad.
Yeah, having UK's second most generic surname, obviously, having no middle name never presents any problems for me.
You've got 3 films.
Thanks for parents. 3 films indeed. Yeah, swings and roundabouts. Right, okay. No one got anything else on company update in public? No. Okay, let's go on to group company governance and the audit risk assessment.
Okay. That's me again.
Previous item. I need to really do. So we do. Okay, sorry. slightly messy one here. So sorry, let me go back to company update. So we need to note the information provided within the report and the private appendix 1, which contains commercially confidential details concerning associated companies. Can I check if that's noted?
Noted, yes.
Thank you. Okay. Item 6 then, sorry, group company governance according the audit risk assessment 22-23. And then again, there's a public and a private version to this because of commercially sensitive information. Alison, back to you.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you. So this is a report that we receive annually, and we review it on its way through to Audit Committee, and we note if we have any questions or comments that we would like Audit Committee to consider, then we note them here and we pass those on for when they sit the end of the month. So what you have here is that it's a report that tells you about an exercise that is carried out annually within the finance department. So they will circulate all of the councils, or they will review all of the council's group companies, and those that are either of a size that may require them to be consolidated, or who are approaching that size. So there's quite a margin of error applied here. And then all of those companies will be written to. They'll be written to twice during the year. This one is asking them a number of questions. It's quite a detailed questionnaire that goes out to them, and it asks them about their company environment, their directors, their board meetings, what sort of risk reports they've had during the year, how often they've met as a board, all sorts of things like that, and also what their financial statements are looking like. And they'll ask a number of questions about how their financial statements are prepared, looking at things like financial instruments that they might have, stock valuations, etc. And all of this is twofold. One, it's to give assurance via yourselves to Audit Committee that the governance of the group is being monitored, and to highlight any areas that might cause concern. We would then follow those up, or internal audit might follow them up, and that report would probably come through here also. But it also identifies any specific actions that the finance team might have to take in order to consolidate that company, or in order to assess as we get to the end of March whether it would need consolidation, and in particular things like financial instruments and leases, because there are certain ways in which such items have to be consolidated. So it's very much a governance overview, but it's also a practical exercise so that the finance team can be prepared, ready for consolidation at the year end. So all of the appendices for the major companies are on the private agenda, because as you can imagine, looking at those three headings of company environment, risk and financial statements, there is a lot of confidential information within the returns that we get back from them, and that's why they're on the private agenda. So the recommendations from this are to note the replies that have been forwarded to you, and perhaps following consideration on the private agenda, just are there any comments or any issues that you would like to then forward on to the Audit Committee?
Okay, I should re-declare that on the airport board. That is simply information provided here. So first of all, just remind us of the governance pipeline on this. So these are going to Audit Committee, did you say when?
To their next meeting. They're meeting at the end of the month, but I think there is a meeting within the next week. But I'd have to check again, because obviously this meeting has been postponed. So it would be to whatever their next meeting is.
Oh, I'm going to Audit Committee, lucky me.
Is it next week?
Next week, yeah.
Right.
Okay, right. So the governance on that's clear. Does anyone have any queries or comments on either governance or content on this? I think just a query for me. So obviously these are the ones that met the threshold for inclusion. Have we got any hovering anywhere near the threshold?
It also includes those that were close to it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it would include those that are hovering, yes.
Okay.
So, for example, we don't and never have consolidated Finance Birmingham, but it's come jolly close a couple of times.
Right, okay. And then have all the company boards been cooperative in helping prepare these?
They have, yes, and all of the returns have been received now. Unfortunately, one of them we thought was after company send out, which is why you haven't got it on there, but we have now received everything.
Right, anyone got anything on these then? No? Okay, an important bit of governance, because where we have seen things go wrong in other authorities, it's been where not enough attention has been paid to things like this. So it may seem arduous, but it is vital to make sure we're on top of it. Okay then, if no one's got anything then, I was asked to consider responses. I don't think we have any decisions here, is that correct? We're simply considering.
No, it's whether there are any points or any issues that you would like to raise with audit committee. I think, as I recall from last year, I think it was a statement that went in that pretty much similar to what you've just said, Councillor, in that recognising what an important role of governance the council has and this committee has, and that having this annual review contributes to that and would highlight any gaps in that governance process.
So if no one has anything on this, then we'll move on to the next item, which is, I'll make my way back to the agenda. Okay, so PETPS companies is what we've got here. So we're getting into, we've got, sorry, let me take us back a step. So we're getting into the steps on the agenda where we've got two company portraits here, which we will mainly discuss on the private agenda, given that we'll be dipping in and out of confidential, commercially sensitive stuff. Should we finish off? Well, does anyone want to say anything on the public aspect of this first? And then what we'll do is close down the public agenda and move on to the private. So is anyone, the PTPS, does anybody want to introduce that or say anything on the public? Sorry.
That's all right. I can introduce this one for you, because both of these pen portraits, they're companies that we hold. All of this information that's on the pen portrait is in the public arena. It's on on Companies House, but it is pretty much the bulk of what we would want to discuss. So I can outline the company and why we set them up on the public or the private agenda for you, but it's all in that report.
Anyone want to ask anything in public? No. Okay, and then the second one we have is NEC Developments Limited. Anybody want to query anything on that? Actually, I should just ask when it says board directors on here, is that that's presumably just the BCC board directors, that's not all the board directors?
No, that is all of the board directors. These are companies that we're bringing here because during our year we have all of our major companies here. These are vehicles or companies that we have set up for financial reasons and structures. So the only directors on them are BCC officers.
Okay, fair enough. 2 directors just struck me as low for quite a big company, but we can get into that, I think, on the private.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, no one's got anything on PETPS then. We've got NEC Developments Limited.
And that's really the same as well. 99% of what you might ask today is there on that public agenda. It was set up in order to raise funding to fund the NEC halls that are noted on that report. So bonds were issued by that company, and the council funds the bond repayment in 2027 through that company. So again, it's a company set up for a financial transaction, if you like. It was set up a number of years ago.
Okay, anyone got anything on this? No. we've got scheduled meetings the rest of the municipal year, roughly once every 2 months. We therefore agreeing actually. So does everybody agree those? But any other urgent business on the public report? Need to be aware of? No. Date of the next meeting will be on the 6th of July, as we have just agreed, and then I move the exclusion of the public.
An additional meeting taking place 6th of June. Special additional.
So that's an addition.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think it's top plan. Sorry, because it's 6th of June and 6th of July, and I'm an idiot. I read it as being the same thing. So we've got an additional meeting on the 6th of June to cover the annual appointments before this goes to cabinet. And what will the purpose of that meeting be? Looking at the annual appointment schedule?
Or it moves into cabinet.
Right. Okay, so I'll be taking the recommendations of the group office, group secretaries to hear you. Is that right?
I believe also, Chair, that we were hoping to have some training for the committee on that day,
Okay, fantastic.
board effectiveness.
Cool. Okay. Right. In that case, we'll move the exclusion of press and public then.